Hello everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we are back with a brand new video. In fact, it's the second video of the day as me and a lot of thee sat and watched that game live together right here on the channel. And again, I won't be doing too many of these in the actual future, especially now given the way the actual result went, by the way. Sorry, it's completely my fault, CJ's fault as always. But to those who did chill out and watch the game, thank you so much for coming around. I didn't talk too much about the end result when the full-time whistle went because I wanted to try and let it digest a little bit, sit in the old noggin, and then I thought I'd come upstairs, have a wee match recap and talk about it now. There's cooler heads have prevailed and we can understand what that game was, what went right, what went wrong, and who really let themselves down. So that's what we're here to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. We're here to talk about Tranmere Rovers 1, Rangers 0. And no, it still doesn't feel right actually saying that. But before we do go ahead and dive into today's video, despite it not being a good result, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't mind helping the old channel out, that'd be greatly appreciated. We have big dreams and big hopes for this season, and that 50k marker is the first one on that list, so any help would genuinely mean a lot to me. But I know something else that would mean a lot is if I just get on with things, and I'll do that. And I think I'll start off today's video like I started the Partick Thistle game, and I've started many pre-season games before in the past. The result isn't the most important thing, especially early on in pre-season. When it's 1 or 2 games away for the start of the season kicking in, I'll be treating these games much more differently. But I can go into these games, especially the first couple, and realise what they are. They are about more of a competitive training session. It's about getting the ball down, getting yourself running about for 45 minutes, closing that gap to match fitness and obviously match sharpness, which if you watched any of that game, you can genuinely sit back and say, aye, we're not anywhere near it quite yet, and you can quite clearly see this is the second 45th minute. A lot of these players have actually went through the motions on closing that gap to match sharpness. But at the same time, I do always want to see the team win, and that's the fine point that I'm sure a lot of us are struggling right now, because if you look at it on paper, that 1-0 loss to Tranmere doesn't sit right with any of us, and let's be honest, no disrespect, it shouldn't be happening with the quality we still were able to put on the park. Yes, it's still early pre-season, but it was there. First pre-season game as well, ladies and gentlemen, so you're expecting to go in and win that game, and I'm just kind of a wee bit mixed emotions with the fringe players and the players that's not naturally the first name on the team sheet. Because if you go back to my Partick Thistle game, I was praising a lot of the fringe players, and I was like, this is what these games are for them. These games mean so much more to the fringe players than it does the first team players that again are using it to get matched up. The fringe players have an opportunity of pulling on the Rangers sort and making an impression and getting themselves in and amongst the manager's mindset and plans for the season. I thought a couple of guys did that at Partick Thistle. The likes of Stephen Kelly, Robin McCrory, for me, looked good on the last friendly. And I think if you go into this game, there's more disappointments than positives from me from the fringe players. I'm looking at George Edmondson, I'm looking at Jordan Jones, and I'm looking at my boy Glenn Middleton, who, yes, was getting played out of position, but when he is getting these opportunities to pull on a shot, you've got to try and go and make something happen. A couple of times he took a lovely first touch, but instead of getting wide and whipping the ball in, he was cutting back and he was playing it a wee bit safe, and safe just summarises Jordan Jones' 2 appearances so far. For me, this is a guy that's got the talent, and that it's frustrating about this. We all know he's got something, but it just doesn't quite turn it on enough. And I feel like these types of laddies should be going into this game and giving absolutely everything. Not really going through the emotions like a couple of the other first team players that some people might have problems with and say, you know what, they should be bursting their pan in as well. But I'd be worried if any of them were doing that and getting injured. But the fringe players, I think, should be grabbing these opportunities and coming off that park, barely being able to walk to make an impression. And I just thought too many of them were really poor in that game. And where I sat here on the Partick Thistle game and I said, you know what, a couple of the fringe players has actually played themselves in to contention. I'm actually sitting back after that game and saying, you know what, a couple of the fringe players have played themselves even further away. But even in saying that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not overly negative about the first 45 minutes, because again, I think a lot of people seen that result and they're just throwing their toys absolutely the pram, screaming and slamming and being raging about that. But if you look at that first 45 minutes and you be fair, you will see a Rangers team dominating for 90% of it and should have scored 4 goals in the first half. Genuinely, you had a brilliant run by Lundstrom inside the box, gets his head up, he picks out Hadji at the back post, but Hadji can't get it on target. Still a half chance for that laddie. Then the 28th minute came at the peak of Rangers domination, being led by the line. Jermaine Defoe, who for me had a very good game, apart from putting the ball into the back of net, as he nips, he wins the ball, he drives forward, he picks out Scott Wright 1v1 with the goalkeeper. Go on, son, make it 1-0 to Rangers. But it's a very tame effort, it's a very timid effort, and the goalkeeper saves it, flicks it up into the air, and you see Jermaine Defoe going to it 3 yards out. It's going to be 1-0. He just needs to make contact. But to be fair, the defender stays wet, tracks the ball, and he puts himself in a position to keep it out, which I still can't believe, and it still hurts the old ticker. And then if that wasn't worse, if missing 2 sitters in the space of 3 settings wasn't bad enough, ladies and gentlemen, Kamal Roof then gets his legs all tangled about like Squidward when he tries to slap it in to the back of net, again tapping in a rebound which should have been in, and that's free. That's free, clear-cut opportunities in the space of 5 seconds. And if you ever needed to know that that game wasn't going to go your way, it was that passage of play, because the amount of times I've replayed it in my mind, I still cannot believe we didn't put one of them away. And despite everything I've said so far about the pre-season game and everything like that, whether it is a competitive training session, a cup game, a league game, it doesn't matter. It's still a game of football, and if you don't take your opportunities, you will always give the other team a chance to take the lead in the game. And that's exactly what happened. Within 3 minutes of us missing those 3 clear-cut opportunities, Tranmere hit us out the blue with an absolute scream dream. It's a corner that's punched by McGregor. I think he wants a free kick here originally because he says there's a guy underneath him, but he doesn't get it. Scott Wright then gets out-muscled out the wing, kind of pushed out. The ball comes into the number 7 Morris from Tranmere Rovers. Glenn Middleton tries to close the gap. He can't get near the boy, and the boy just unleashes a left-footed rocket that's in the back of the net before Alan McGregor even gets his hands up. And if you talk about a special goal or anything like that, or a goal that's going to win a game like this for Tranmere Rovers versus Rangers, you saw it, because if you're scoring from there, it needs to be something special to beat Alan McGregor, and it was, ladies and gentlemen. And that for me is a perfect example of what went wrong in this game. Missed clear-cut sitters in the first half, caught with a screamer, and we just couldn't respond for there. Which, if you'd have told me after they took the lead so early in the game that they would have held on, I wouldn't have believed you, just because how much we were dominating in the first 45 minutes. I mean, 2 minutes after they scored, Stephen Davis splits the defender in the left back beautifully, only the way he can, with a ball in behind. It finds Tavernier, whips it to the back post. Jermaine Defoe's there. It looks like it's 1-1. We're ready to sponsor break, but he hits it with the outside of his foot and hits it wide. By that, just wasn't meant to be, was it? And that was it for the first half. And for me, that is the end of the praise that I can give Rangers, despite it being early in pre-season, because I still saw a lot of positivity and a lot of domination from Rangers in that first half. And I think something I need to be positive about is Lundstrom. Very, very impressed with him. He only joined 3 days ago. He's only been at the club for that many times. He's only trained a couple of times with our players, but he went in there, and I think you can see glimpses of what he will bring Rangers Football Club. That enforcer role, because he did get around a couple of times, but he's got that kind of chest out, head up. Right, who's moving for me? Let's make something happen. And I love the fact that he was actually screaming for people. When he had the ball round about the edge of the box, he was screaming at people to move. And I love that he's just in the door and he's not willing just to put the head down and play it by the ear and just put it sideways. No, he wanted folk to move for him. And that's good. And again, the balls into the box. I didn't want to say this at the time, but for me, it's the Arfield replacement in terms of the amount of games that Watts will play. Because what we love in Scotty Arfield is what we will get from Lundstrom. Balls into the box, getting into the box himself and trying to feed off things. And we saw little glimpses. Again, it wasn't a world-class performance, but we've been in the building 3 days. There's a lot more positives than negatives. So very interested to see how that man builds up as it goes in the next couple of friendlies. But honestly, that's kind of it for the positives. At the end of the first half, a lot of changes were made. The likes of Edmondson came on, Balogun came on, who got the captain's armband, by the way, so it shows you what he means to the players and the coaching staff as well. McGregor was still on at that point, brought in Ryan Kent, Joe Rebo. I'm sitting here going, announce it, just give me it, ladies and gentlemen. But honestly, I thought Ryan Kent and Joe Rebo was really let down about the lack of bite in the second half for a couple of players that, again, I thought were just going through the motions for me. Not enough penetrating runs for Jordan Jones. Not enough guys willing to beat someone. It was a lot of, I'll come short for it, but then I'll turn around, go sideways and hope someone else actually is the one to unlock the door. The only two players on the part in the second half for me that was willing to get the ball down and try to beat someone, then put the ball into the mixer, was Ryan Kent and Joe Aribo. And they two are absolutely special players that I've got no questions about them or anything like. We know how good they are, and as they get much sharper, it's going to be a glorious thing for us going into next season. But the second half was really, really disappointing. I thought Edmondson again was very poor, and they are getting beat quite easily. Balogun had one really good moment where he covered from Edmondson's mistake when he gets beat in the air. Very good slide challenge. I thought Calvin Bassey had a good defensive moment where a ball went in behind, he showed his strength. But not enough penetration, not enough attacking threat, not enough players that's willing to step up and be it. A lot of balls come into the box, but no one standing at the back post, no one identifying the back post as where they should be going in to the second half. And when I watched it, honestly, I was just sitting there. If you watch my live watch along, I'm going, it's another good ball at the back post, it's another good ball at the back post, it's another good ball at the back post. No one went to the entire game, and again, their pre-seasons, maybe Russ and little things like that. So I'm not going to tear too much. I'm a wee bit disappointed, obviously, with the loss. I wanted to see a little bit more from the fringe players, and that's where my disappointment is. Not necessarily that we go beat or anything like that, because I understand what it is, but a couple of the fringe players I was very excited to see play didn't do enough to grab the game by the scruff of the neck, and that's where I'm sitting with that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to just sit here and repeat myself, but that is my honest to God thoughts with the old game that finished 1-0 the Tranmere Rovers. Am I hitting panic stations? Obviously no, there's nothing to worry about. The players will get sharper and fitter going in, but that base that we heard Steven Gerrard talk about from the season before about pre-season providing them a great base to go on and do what we've done has took a little knock here, and he wasn't happy if you saw him with certain parts of the game. So I am very interested to see the next pre-season game. I think a lot of these players that got a lot of minutes in terms of 45 minutes won't be getting that in the next game, and I think you'll see more of the first team players building their way up, and we'll see a wee bit of change from who gets chances in the next game. So that's what I'll be looking forward to, ladies and gentlemen. But until next time, I have been sieging over 92. Sorry about the live view. It was a kind of last minute decision. I just thought it'd be fun to sit and talk to you about the football. But let me know your thoughts and opinions so far on game 2 of pre-season. Who's impressing you so far? Who's disappointing you? Let me know down there in the comment section below. But until next time, I've been sieging over 92. Take care of yourselves. All the best, and bye-bye.